Revelation 2907. From the 3rd of October 1943. Bliss. Degrees of light. Radiance of power in the afterlife. An uninterrupted course of development on earth and in the beyond shapes the being into perfection, into a receiver and bearer of light, which is now active in such a way that it utilizes the strength it receives again to redeem the still unfree spiritual. The process of redemption lasts until the being itself can receive light and strength, thus in spiritual freedom it can now use this strength and thereby increase it. Then the being itself is complete and can develop without limitation. It can rise higher and higher in knowledge and thereby also extend its sphere of activity into the unmeasured. It can constantly increase the supply of strength and become ever more perfect, which is why the bliss of giving out also constantly increases. The receiving being has to give because its love constantly increases, which impels it to empty itself of the imperfect and which also lets it feel the bliss which consists of being able to help. But the activity of the spiritual being full of light is different, also according to the abundance of light which flows towards the being, which is why also the state of happiness has to be graduated according to the degrees of light. Thus the being can constantly strive. It can constantly increase within itself through unification with equally mature spiritual substances, through the influx of light and strength from God, which is again the result of its activity. The handing out and working in love. The influx of divine emanation of strength provides the beings with unimagined bliss, because the epitome of all feeling is love and because the activity of love in itself already triggers a happiness which can increase to an immeasurable degree. Love determines and governs everything. It connects with each other, it looks for objects which it can make happy, because love urges constant activity and because it wants to externalize itself, thus transferred to all beings which are to a certain extent dependent on the flow of divine love. For the supply of the flow of strength means life, whereas without love every creature is dead. Thus the beings of light are the promoters of all life, for even earthly creation could not exist if it were not constantly fed from the kingdom of light with the strength from God, which animates and sustains everything. The supply of strength is therefore entrusted to the beings of light in the spiritual kingdom so that they can share in the unspeakable bliss, since the receiving and distributing of the divine gift is based on love for the unredeemed and therefore the being of light has an unlimited area at its disposal where it can work, both on earth as well as in the spiritual kingdom. And thus its love becomes ever more radiant and pervasive, because it also increases more and more of its own accord through the union with the beings of light. Amen.